Peter Paul Rubens was a Flemish Baroque painter, widely regarded as one of the most influential artists of the 17th century. Born on June 28, 1577, in Zeegen, in what is now Germany, he was raised in Antwerp, in the Spanish Netherlands, modern-day Belgium. Early life and education. Rubens was born into a Protestant family, but after his father's death, his mother moved the family back to Antwerp and raised him as a Catholic. He was well educated and became fluent in several languages, which later supported his role as a diplomat. He began his artistic training in Antwerp under local painters and later studied the works of Italian masters during an extended stay in Italy from 1600 to 1608. During this time, he absorbed influences from artists such as Michelangelo, Raphael, Titian, and Caravaggio. This dramatic and energetic painting is The Tiger Hunt, by Peter Paul Rubens, created around 1615 to 1616. It is one of several large hunting scenes commissioned by Maximilian I of Bavaria, and is currently housed in the Musée des Beaux-Arts in Rennes, France. Composition and motion. The painting is a masterclass in Baroque dynamism. The composition is swirling and crowded with interlocking figures, men, horses, and wild beasts, in intense motion. The viewer's eye is drawn diagonally from the bottom left, where a man wrestles a lion, to the upper right, where other men engage in battle, creating a strong diagonal tension. The scene shows a violent and chaotic struggle between humans and wild animals, tigers, lions, and leopards. Each character is shown with extreme physical tension and expressive facial features: fear, anger, pain, determination. The men are muscular, almost heroic in scale, embodying Renaissance ideals of the powerful human form. This powerful and tumultuous painting is The Lion Hunt, created around 1615 to 1616, part of a series of large-scale hunting scenes commissioned by Maximilian I of Bavaria. The composition is dense and highly dynamic, packed with intersecting bodies, weapons, horses, and wild animals. The movement is centripetal. Everything converges toward the lion attacking the man in white at the center, creating dramatic tension. Bodies twist and fall, horses rear up, and spears pierce through the chaos, making the viewer feel immersed in the frenzy of the scene. Characters and emotion. A ferocious lion attacks a man draped in white, biting into his body, a focal point of agony and struggle. The men show raw expressions of fear, pain, and fury, characteristic of Rubens' Baroque emotional realism. A man on the left stabs a lion while another lies on the ground at the bottom right, his face contorted in terror. This painting is Achilles discovered among the daughters of Lycomedes, by Peter Paul Rubens, created around 1611. It depicts a scene from Greek mythology, rendered with the rich dynamism and theatricality typical of the Baroque period. The scene shows the moment when Odysseus discovers Achilles hiding among the daughters of King Lycomedes. Achilles' mother, Thetis, had disguised him as a girl to prevent him from going to war in Troy, where she knew he was destined to die. Odysseus, to expose him, presents the women with gifts of jewelry and weapons. Achilles instinctively reaches for the sword, revealing his true identity. The central figure, Achilles, dominates the canvas in a flowing red robe, frozen in a moment of tension as he grabs the sword. Surrounding him are women dressed in elegant garments, expressing surprise, curiosity, and confusion. Odysseus is on the right, assertively reaching toward Achilles, with another male figure supporting the ruse. The composition is circular and compact, drawing the viewer's eye inward toward Achilles and the dramatic reveal. This painting is The Massacre of the Innocents, created circa 1611 to 1612. It is one of the most emotionally intense and brutal works of the Baroque period, capturing the horror and chaos of mass infanticide based on the biblical narrative. The painting depicts the biblical massacre of the innocents ordered by King Herod, who, fearing the birth of the King of the Jews, commands the murder of all male infants in Bethlehem. The scene is drawn from Matthew 2 verses 16 to 18, and Rubens illustrates it with overwhelming emotional and physical violence. The composition is densely packed, with no space for relief, reinforcing the chaos and claustrophobia. The action spreads horizontally and vertically, with bodies tangled in violent struggle, children, mothers, and soldiers overlap in a dynamic, almost suffocating composition. In the foreground, we see the most intense physical confrontations, while the background features classical architecture and spear-bearing soldiers adding tension and depth. This painting is The Adoration of the Magi, created around 1609 to 1629. It is a prime example of Baroque religious art, illustrating the biblical moment when the three wise men, or Magi, visit the newborn Jesus Christ, bringing him gifts and homage. The painting represents the adoration of the Magi, described in the Gospel of Matthew, 2:1-12. The scene shows the three kings, traditionally Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, offering gold, frankincense, and myrrh to the baby Jesus, held by Mary. The event symbolizes the recognition of Christ's divinity by the Gentiles. The central focus is on the infant Jesus and the Virgin Mary, who presents him to the Magi. The figures are arranged in a pyramid-like composition, a hallmark of Rubens' work, guiding the viewer's gaze upward from the gifts to Jesus. The kneeling king, possibly Melchior, is kissing Jesus' foot, a traditional gesture of reverence. The background is crowded with figures, creating a sense of grandeur and a procession-like atmosphere. This painting is a Baroque Annunciation, most likely, depicting the moment when the angel Gabriel announces to the Virgin Mary that she will bear the Christ child. Though the exact attribution may vary, its style, flowing drapery, cherubic putty, rich color, and dramatic light, is quintessentially Rubenesque and dates to the early 17th century. The scene is the Annunciation, Luke 1 verses 26-38, when Gabriel proclaims to Mary that she will conceive by the Holy Spirit. Mary is shown seated or kneeling at a lectern with an open book, symbolizing her piety and the scriptures. Gabriel approaches from the right, his gesture both reverent and emphatic, inviting her acceptance. Above them, cherubs and a descending dove, the Holy Spirit, carry the divine message, showering roses or light. Composition and movement. The composition is built on a diagonal axis from the lower left, Mary's hand and book, up to the upper right, Gabriel's outstretched arm, then back to the center, the dove and cherubs. Creating a lively triangular flow. Mary's raised hand forms a counter-gesture to Gabriel's reach, visually enacting her famous reply, "Behold the handmaid of the Lord." This is the Assumption of the Virgin, in the grand Baroque manner, after Titian's Venetian original, here painted around 1626 for the Antwerp Cathedral. It depicts the moment when Mary is taken, body and soul, up into heaven, as described in Catholic tradition. Composition and structure. 2 tiers. Lower zone shows the apostles gathered around an empty tomb, arms outstretched and faces uplifted in awe. Their dynamic poses form a semicircle that guides the eye upward. Upper zone features Mary, draped in a flowing red gown and blue mantle, rising on a cloud of cherubs and putty, toward a burst of golden light at the top. The vertical thrust, from the apostles reaching hands to Mary's ascending figure, creates a strong sense of movement and spiritual elevation.